Okay, this is going to be a long one because what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through my entire giant 100 slide Sunday PowerPoint in the effort of trying to teach this well. Sunday is euphonic combination. And I'll admit this was for many years. It's easy for me now, but for many years, this was one of the hardest things for me in Sanskrit. I just couldn't get it. I mean, I remember so many years being like, just tell me what the words are so I can look them up. And then I would go to my big ass Sanskrit dictionary I have held together with duct tape because we had electronic resources at the time, but I refused to use them. Why? One, I'm a Luddite, and two, looking words up in a physical dictionary does teach you a lot in Sanskrit. And you'll learn about that in time. You'll have that experience. So this is my attempt to just kind of do Sandhi the whole way through. And I had a lot of failures at this with my Sanskrit class this year. And I feel like I turned a corner and was able to figure out how to teach it better. And we'll see if it's effective or not. But I wanted to record this whole thing so my students would have access to it. Or for any of you chuckleheads out there that are trying to learn Sanskrit from me on the internet, you'll all have it in one place. So here we go. Sandhi. All right. Sandhi's really all about sounds. And what you really need to do is you need to speak the words out loud, the examples out loud. I'll be using the examples from Robert Goldman and Sally Goldman's Devavanipraveshika. This is my Bible. It's beat up. I've carried it all over the world with me. I love this text. There are probably better texts to teach Sanskrit on, but I don't know if I would teach Sanskrit better with them. It helps to memorize examples. So it's like, try to not remember the math of it, though I'm going to explain the math of it to you. Just memorize examples. And if you have it in your head, if you have the example in your head, then you see something similar when you're reading Sanskrit. You go, oh, it's like that. So when I see what's a good one? Dandotama, the highest staff. I look at Dandotama and I think, oh, wait, Lambodara, big belly. That O in there is a sign that my words have come together. You'll also see that Sandhi really helps if you listen to chanting. You'll hear how these words and these rules actually happen very organically. You don't need to master this. You just need to get familiarity with all the rules. So I always like to invoke my late friend, Michael Jerryson, whom I love so much. And he's passed, but the dead live by love. And when someone dies, they're gone. But it's not that your relationship with them is over. It just really changes. Now, this picture, which his wife sent to me, because I asked for a picture of him and his wife, Fawn, and their child, Sienna, for a very specific reason. Michael gave his daughter the name Sienna Sandhi Jerryson. Her middle name is Sandhi. And he never said this out loud to me, but it was obvious to me when he told me the middle name, and I probably groaned when he told me that his daughter is the perfect combination of him and his wife. And I know Sienna Sandhi pretty okay these days, and she's kind of an amazing kid. But I look at this picture and it makes me happy. And when I look at Sienna there, I can't quite see the incredible creature that she's become, but I can see how beautiful Fawn, Michael's wife, is, and how beautiful Michael is there. He's just so young. And I look at them together and their heads together, and I think that is a perfect combination. So Sandhi is san, like Sanskrit, Sanskrit becomes the words that are put together perfectly, the language that's perfectly put together. So Sandhi means san, like almost perfectly combined, and dhi means the thing that you hold, thing that's put. So Sandhi, well put together. So let's get to it. Goldman starts right out in 3.3. Our first rule is plus two short uhs equal long So here, plus equals ah. Now, Goldman gives a wonderful example here. Ramena saha agachat sita. Now, you would never see it written that way in Sanskrit in the wild. What you would encounter is Ramena Sahagajat Sita. So if you listen carefully, you'll hear Ramena Saha Agachat Sita or Ramena Sahagajat Sita. It's just easier to say. The translation is Rama went to the forest with Sita, and here we see that Saha and Agachat come together to be Sahagachat. Now, Guy Levitt has a great example here that I always remember. Cha plus uppy is choppy. So long a, short a, long a, short a, together equals ah. Choppy means but and, which isn't very semantically valuable. So you can either remember saha, agachat, sahagachat, or chappy, cha, uppy. So I will be giving you these Guy Levitt examples, which are really similar to the way that pundits remember these things in India. If you were learning Sandhi in a traditional way, you would just memorize these like little short words that are really similar, or these might actually be ones that are traditionally learned that Levitt will give you. So choppy, cha, plus uppy, choppy. Short a becomes long a. All right, we're moving right along. Plus equals ah. Now, we have Ramena Sahaga Chat Sita. We had that before. So plus is ah. Chuppy, cha plus uppy. Plus equals long Now, long a plus short a also equals Now, this is similar to what we're going to see with a lot of the vowels. So with oo, so short oo equals long oo, short I equals long I. These are going to be really similar. So this principle of Sandhi we're getting warmed up with just the us. Here we have Sitaya Agachat Sumitra. So Sitaya with Sita, Agachat past tense from the root gum to go. Sumitra is a specific name in the nominative. So here, Sumitra went with Sita. So Sitaya Agachat Sumitra becomes Sitaya Agachat Sumitra. So listen, Sitaya Agachat, or let me try to say it fast. Sitaya Agachat Sumitra or Sitaya Agachat Sumitra. Sitaya Agachat Sumitra. It's easier to say. This is the trick with Sandhi, is these rules happen for a reason, and they're about the way your tongue works in your mouth. Sandhi is complicated to read, but it's very easy when you hear it because your ear and your tongue already know these rules, which is why it's important when you're studying Sandhi to say these words out loud. Again, we're back to Guy Levitt. Cha plus uppy, long a, short a, plus long a or short a equals long a. Choppy. Now, you may know some yoga poses. Here's a great little image of a good pose and a bad pose of the Garudasana. Now, you might have learned Garudasana. You might have learned Shavasana. In these words, Garuda plus asana, Garudasana. Danda plus asana, Dandasana. Shava, corpse, asana, my favorite one where you just lay around, Shavasana. So you don't stop and say Shava asana, Shava asana, Shava asana, Shava asana. No, Shavasana, Shavasana, Shava asana, Shavasana. See how much easier it is to say? You need to say these out loud as you study them. So long A plus long A, what does that equal? Yet again, long A. So here, Sitaya agachati ramaha. Gachati from gum is a verb, which means gum means go. You add ah to it, and it means it's a little bit more sophisticated. So agachati. So actually, in this case, it's in the past tense. Sitaya agachati ramaha. Sitaya agachati ramaha. Long A plus short A. Long A from sitaya in the instrumental with sita. Agachati. So that should actually be a short A. It's a misspelling on my part. Dr. Ulrich is not great at PowerPoints. You'll see this when you try to actually write out PowerPoints with Sanskrit in them. You invariably screw them up a little bit. So choppy, again, plus or plus or plus or plus all equals long A. Rama went with Sita. Long A plus short A equals long A. Sitaya agachati Ramaha. Not Sitaya agajat. It is not Sitaya agajati Ramaha. It's Sitaya agachati Ramaha. It's nice. So if we look at two vowels together, like I was saying before, we have a short I and a short I will combine to be a long I. Same thing with ooze. So gachapami or gachami iti vadati, which you would never see. In fact, what you would see in Sanskrit is you would see when you're reading right along, gachamiti vadati. Here, the short I at the end of gachami and the short I in front of iti become one long I. In translation of gachami or gachami iti vadati, gachamiti vadati. Vadati means he speaks from the root vach, which becomes vad for various reasons. He says, iti is like it's like almost like a quotation mark. So gachami iti, I'm going, he says. So if we memorize a Guy Levitt example, which I would argue are easier to remember, so you don't have to remember gachamiti vadati, gachami plus iti plus vadati means gachamiti. You can remember api plus eva, apiva. So the two short I's come together to be a long I. The rule is that a short I or a long I plus a short I or a long I equals just a long I. I'm off. I'm going, he says. Here's some other concurrent vowels. We have oo and oo. Oo plus oo equals a long oo. So our example here is kuru plus uttama. Now, you would never see kuru, uttama in Sanskrit. You just wouldn't see it. What you would see in the script when you're reading right along is kuruttama. So uttama means great or supreme, and kuru is a clan. So it's like a name. So the ultimate kuru, the supreme kuru, would be kuruttama. Now, notice that funky little W there. Notice how it's written. That's one way that it's not a long U under a ra. It comes together and is written like that, with that sort of like upside down, funky little thing, the little swirl in it. Now, if you want to memorize the Guy Levitt example, which I once again think is the best way to go, you have bahu plus udaka equals bahudaka. Now, bahu means like a lot, and udaka means water. So bahudaka equals bahu udaka. So when you're reading right along and you see a long oo, you'd think to yourself, okay, is this one word with a long oo in it? Or is this two short oos that have come together? Now, the coalescence of or long with a dissimilar vowel, with a different vowel than or So here, the example is plus e equals a. This is something completely different. So and e can't come together because they're different. They can't just become a long sound. So my example that I always remember is Mahesha, which is a name for Shiva. Maha plus long I, Isha, the great Lord. Mahesha. So when you see an E sound, as we say in English, Mahesha, when you see an A in a word, you might, especially if it's like in the middle of a word, you go, oh, maybe that's an and an A that comes together. So short long plus short E, long E, the I sound equals A, or what we say in English, A. That's our rule. Cha iha, cheha. Cha iha means and now, which is why I put and now something completely different. Cheha, cha iha. Now, this is like my favorite slide in the world. The coalescence of short A and long A with a dissimilar vowel U. What are we going to do here? Well, plus U equals O. And this is my favorite Sandhi in the world. Lambodara. Lamba means like hanging or big or whatnot. See our giant man's belly over there. And udara means belly. So if you remember Lambodara, big belly, hanging belly, Lambodara. So if you see an O in the middle of a word, or if you see any O, you might get suspicious and think, oh, maybe this is two words that have come together to become Lambodara. So any short or long plus short U or long U becomes O. Our Guy Levitt example, which is good, but not as good as Lambodara, is na plus udika. Now we saw udika before. It's water. So na plus udika, nodika. Nodika means no water. Na in Sanskrit is, as in many Indo-European languages, a negative. So no water. Nodika, na plus udika. All right, we're getting into some good stuff here. What about the combination of and with another vowel like, say, ri? Now, we have a great example here. Short or long plus ri, that vowel, becomes an A and an R. And you'll notice this little kickstand here. That's called a virama. That means that there's no vowel at the end of it. What I want you to remember here is that short A and long A plus ri becomes just R. What's your example? Here's a great one. Maharshi. Maha, which means great or a greater thing. You might have heard of Mahayana, the greater vehicle in Buddhism. Maha plus rishi equals Maharshi. Haha, the rishi there, that ri becomes an AR. Now, of course, you've got that long A there. They just go right together. Maharshi. Or you may have heard of Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, who has that university and was the guru to the Beatles. So Maharshi. Or my favorite Maharshi is Ramana Maharshi. And there's his beautiful face there. And I love his ashram in South India. He was a very important saint, especially in the 20th century. So Guy Levitt gives you ata plus ritu. Now, ata means something like thus. And ritu means an order, a command, even a cosmic order. So atartu, ata plus ritu becomes atartu. Now, think of it, just say it out loud. Ataritu, ataritu, atartu. Oh, it's just so much easier to say, atartu. So that would be thusly ordered, like a court order. All right, the coalescence of and long with a dissimilar vowel such as A. Here we're getting into some interesting stuff. Plus A becomes I. So that's our rule. Short or long plus A, or as we would say in English, E, becomes I, a diphthong. What are diphthongs? Ow, ow, I. These sort of like, it's fun to say a diphthong, but they're like double vowel sounds. So here we have atra plus ava, and this is the one I memorized. Atriva, which means something like right here, right chair, right chair. Atra here, and ava is a strengthening particle. So atra plus ava, atra ava, atra ava, atriva, atra ava, atriva, atra ava, atriva. It's just easier to say. So when you understand Sandhi is about your tongue and your ear doing things easier, I would say it's easier to understand. So Guy Levitt gives you this thing you will see always when you're reading Sanskrit, chaiva, which is cha, which means and then ava, like above I said, it's like a flavoring particle that intensifies. Chaiva, long short plus a equals I. Cha plus ava, chaiva. Cha ava, chaiva. Chaiva, chiva. Chaiva, chiva. Chiva is better. Chiva is way better. All right. So if we are looking at the coalescence of and short and long or the connection coalescence, Goldman, what are you going to do? If you take plus a I, what does that equal? Well, it's actually stays an I. You can't go any higher than I. And I'll talk about vowel coalescence and grades in just a minute. But it's like you just can't add anything. I is the highest. I is the highest way to go. So here we have Gacha plus Aishwaryam. It's a great one. Gacha from the root gum is an imperative. So that means like I'm saying, go do that thing. And then Aishwaryam, actually, we've seen this a little bit before. Remember that word Isha? Maha, Isha, Mahesha. Isha means Lord. So making Isha significantly longer and stronger, it becomes Aishwaryam. So Lord becomes lordship or a sovereign. So Gacha plus Aishwaryam is, when you combine them, Gachaishwaryam. That's fun. Gachaishwaryam. It's fun to say. Go become a sovereign. Be king. That's what it's like saying. Now, I like the Guy Levitt point, and you'll see before I had this cha eva, which is like and thus, or atriva right here, like say the mystery spot. If you've driven throughout the United States, you'll see these goofy places, the mystery spots. And here is a picture from within a mystery spot. So remember, become a sovereign. Like here, you see the coronation of the king in Thailand. And over here, we see these people in this crazy spot. Look at how he's at an angle. She's straight up and like, what the heck's going on in the mystery spot? Atra Iva. At this very spot, this mystery spot. Atra Iva. Iva means something really like, it's like Ava, the intensifying particle, but really a big deal. Atriva. Now, interestingly, Atra plus Ava, what would Atra plus Ava be? Atriva. Atra plus Iva, what would that be? Atriva. So don't get too confused. So, or with a different vowel such as O. Well, what does that do? Long or short plus an O sound will become ow. Ow. The diphthong ow. Here we have a lovely example, which is sa, so that's she, pronoun for she. Odanum, or ow, odanum is rice. Pachti, pach to cook. So sa plus odanum plus pachati becomes saudanum pachati. So see that plus o becomes ow. It's like the o just got stronger. Saudanum pachati. Let's have some lukewarm soda and think about that. Now, Guy Levitt gives you an example, and it's really hard to translate, but it's easy to remember. Atra plus oga means something like here, and oga means like instructed, something that is taught, like our little teacher up here. Atra plus oga, atrauga. Atrauga. Just getting stronger. All right. We're getting to our last diphthong, which is ow. Or plus ow. What does it do? It just says ow. You can't get any stronger than ow. Ow can't get bigger. So our example here from Goldman is yacha audumbara. Sorry, that needs a little like spacing on that one. Becomes yachaudumbara. So udumbara or udumbaru, or I often see udumbaru, but udumbara is a specific type of fruit. Yacha is in the imperative. It's from yum, which means give. Here's the imperative. Give this thing. So give me the udumbara fruit. Yacha audumbaram becomes yachaudumbarum. So it just like, boom, comes together. No big change. Cha. Now, the Guy Levitt example is pretty darn good here. Cha means and aushadha means medicine. So, and medicine. Cha, aushada, chaushada. Just comes right together. Nice and easy. Okay. So I wanted to talk briefly, and don't get stuck on this, but this is a thing you need to understand. This is not completely related to Sandhi, but this is the time to first introduce it. So vowels have grades. So a simple vowel is just called a swara. So this is a, e, u, and ri. Those are simple vowels. That's all they are. Now, if you want to strengthen that vowel, which doesn't make sense to you now when you're hearing it, but it will later, like when you get to Goldman chapter 20, it'll make a lot of sense. If you need to strengthen that vowel, will become a long or it'll stay a short and then it will also become strengthened further, vriddhi. So simple vowel, swara. Guna means heavy, a quality that is heavy. And then vriddhi means swollen, really big. So think of this as grades. Think of this as amounts of bigness, if you will. So E, if you want to make it stronger, it becomes A. If you want to make it even stronger, it's I. If you have U and you want to make it stronger, it's O. And then ow and vriddhi. We're going to talk about this a lot as class goes on, but I just want to introduce it now. Ri can become ra or ar, or it can become ar or ra. Now, what's the mathematics here? So a lot of Sanskrit kind of tends to be like math. I like to think of it that way. And the math I generally don't understand. What happens is you learn a lot of vocabulary and you read a lot of Sanskrit, and then it all just starts to make sense. And the rules suddenly program them in your head. And you're like, I don't understand these abstract things in my head. And then you're reading right along, you're like, oh, that's what that thing is. And that's very much the experience of learning Sanskrit is you put the rules in your head, and then when you encounter them in the wild, then they kind of become real to you. All right, so if you have the simple vowel okay, or long when it moves to guna, it's as if you've added another short to it. So, and this is a little confusing. It's either or long I wish it was just long every time, but it's not. You'll get it later. If you want to take it to vriddhi, it's like you've added a long to it, so it becomes always a long in vriddhi. Now, E and E, and this is where things get interesting. E plus a short becomes A. E plus a long becomes I. This one's a lot clearer, at least in my head. U, if you add an to it, you remember that one? Lambodara, got it. But if I add an even more to it, now sure, it would still be Lambodara, but it's not exactly Sandhi. It's just related. But U plus a long is ow. Now on ri, you add a short to it. It's like an ar or a ra. Just don't worry about that. But if you add a long to it, it's ar. We'll come back to this. I just need you to get it in your head. So there's a morphology to this, in fact. And I want to run through some quick examples here. So if you have the root yuj, which is a Sanskrit root, which means like to hitch. Now, the swara of it would be yuj, u. Now, if I want to bring it to guna, yuj would become yoga. And if I want to add it to vriddhi, the most swollen way, it would be yoga. Now, these words have meaning. Yuj, the action of hitching or joining. Yoga, so yuj is like a verb. To hitch, to join. Yoga, the action of hitching or joining. Yoga. And if I wanted to say related to yoga, I would say yoga. So if I wanted to say that this man is a lord of yoga, I could say yogisha, just combining it in Sanskrit. But I could also say Ishwara Yoga. Ishwara Yoga. Or, this man is a master of yoga. I would say Parusham Yogam Ishwaram, with all the same ends. That man is a master of yoga. One of the ways I like to remember this is a rud. The root rud means to cry or to howl. The one who cries and howls is Rudra, a name for Shiva, arguably, back once upon a time, one of his oldest names. But if I say Raudra, not Rudra, that would be of Rudra, and it also means fierce. So Rud, to cry out, Rudra, the one who cries, Raudra, associated with the one who cries, or a fierce thing. Okay, dissimilar vowels. This is where you have vowels that are completely the same. So now you change your first part of a sentence into the homoorganic, non-syllabic semi-vowel. Wow, that's a mouthful. What this means is, say it with me. If you have E, your I there. E, where is that in your mouth? It's the same place as yeah. If I have ooh, it's the same place as va. Ri, ra. So there's a change in vowels when they encounter another vowel in specific ways, and they change into that semi-vowel. Let's look at an example. Agachami aham. Aham means I. Aham. Gachami, I am coming. I come. Agachami, when that E sees that they combine. The E, that I sound, as we say in English, mutates. It mutates because it encounters the So we go from agachami aham to agachamya aham, agachamyaham, agachami aham, agachamyaha. This is to say that when an E encounters an it mutates, it changes. And this sounds like radiates. It radiates an energy. And that energy causes a mutation to this vowel when it's an E, an U, or a Ri. And that E turns into a Ya. So encountering the that is radioactive causes the E to become a Ya, to mutate a bit, to become something else. So agachami aham, which you will never see in Sanskrit, but you will see many times, agachamyaham. Let's keep moving on with this. All right, so as I said, these homoorganic, non-syllabic semi-vowels just means in the same spot of your mouth. E, ya, u, va, ri. All right, let's look at some different vowels when the first is not an Okay. That's so confusing, Goldman. And I need to have a conversation with him. But I met Bob Goldman once in India and had a lovely time with him. I really like Bob Goldman. So here, I said that E or E, when it encounters an or another vowel, in fact, if it encounters, it's just encountering a different vowel. Same thing would happen if it encounters, like, if E encounters an U, it will still turn into a Ya. All right, so let's look here. We have an example. Jayatu Aryaputra. Aryaputra means, putra means son. Arya means noble. So, noble lord. Jayatu is a verb. Oh, you're going to know how to make all of these words in the future, I promise. Jayatu is from the root Ji, to be victorious or to conquer. Jayatu means imperative. That little tu at the end tells you it's an imperative. So it's like, be victorious. So may the noble lord be victorious. Well, that u meets long Long radioactive. It mutates. And u mutates into va. It transforms. So Jayatwarya Putra. Jayatu Aryaputra becomes Jayatwarya Putra. Let's take a look at another one. We've got re down. What does re do? Re becomes ra when it encounters another dissimilar vowel. Like down here, ipsitum, or long E. I love the word ipsitum. It's actually a derivative of the root each or e, which means to desire, from which we get the will of God, icha. So ipsitum means desired. So desired by a father, Pitri. Pitri, patri, Indo-European. Darth Vader, dark father, Pitri, father, Pitra, patra, father. So Indo-European. Pitri ipsitum. Pitri ipsitum. That's kind of hard to say, but pitripsitum, that's easy. So the tree becomes a tra, in fact. And then the I just attaches to it. So the re connects to that radioactive I, and it mutates to become a ra. All right, Guy Levitt's got you on this. Put these in your head. These are some great examples. Iti plus adi, ityadi. You see that the E meets that radioactive long A, and it becomes ityadi. And I will belch from my lukewarm soda. Bahu plus Eva, bahviva, bahviva. See that the U becomes a va, so bav, and then the Eva just attaches normally. The E does not change at all. Bahviva. Kartri plus adi, long A there. Adi means like, and so forth, or something like that. Kartri adi, the tree mutates in the face of the A to become a ra. So kartradi, and it just lightly connects. So kartra plus adi. Oh, wait a minute. That's another rule. Plus long or long A plus or long A equals long A. Look here. Kartri would become kartra, but plus adi, the and connect, kartradi. It's a good example to remember. All right. Now we're going to come to complex vowels. Oh, these vowels, they're so complex. The thing to understand about complex vowels is all the vowels that we've looked at this point, they sort of live on their own. And you wouldn't think this because we don't have a notion in English that our vowels are, or that one letter is made up of other letters, but you do in Sanskrit. So here we'll see that we have the word A, or we have the letter A. Now, A is actually a short plus an I. So this you just have to put in your head. A, or as we say in English, E, is a short plus an I. Now, I, see that's that stronger form of I? That's actually like a long A and an E. And all of this will be important and what we're going to look at in just a second. O is actually two vowels together. Remember Lambodara? Plus U. So when you see an O, you need to know that in the O is in fact sort of like in a Russian doll kind of thing. In every O is an and an U. And every ow, in fact, is an or an U. Now, remember I was talking about those vowel grades, guna and vriddhi? Well, you might go back and remember that A, when it takes guna, so it's strengthened, is I, or is E. I'm not saying that right. Okay, A is the guna, the strengthened form of E. What is guna? But it's adding a short A to something. So plus E equals A. That means it's guna. Vriddhi means very swollen. There, it's a long plus the E, or as we say in English, I. So I is vriddhi of that short I or E. Plus E equals I. Now, O is the guna, the strengthened form of U. U is A plus U. that becomes O. Just remember that O is the strengthened form of U. And I should have put a little chart over here. Ow is the vriddhi. See, I spelled that wrong. So put guna, I should have put vriddhi right there, of U or O. So this is a long plus U. So putting it another way, you need to remember that plus E is A, which also means that A is plus E. Plus E is I, but I, well, not but, and I is and E. O is and U, or and U is O. Ow is and U is ow. Seems weird, but it becomes very natural over time. All right, this is why we needed to learn this. Now I'm going to shift into doing something called internal Sandhi. So far, what we've looked at is external Sandhi. External Sandhi is when two different words come together. Here, I want to look at how two sounds inside of a word come together. This, yet again, I'm giving you a foreshadowing of so much later Sanskrit that we're going to study. So we have an imperative. Tu. Remember that imperative form I said before? Jaya tu. Tu. So G means to be victorious. That's a Sanskrit root. For various reasons, G takes guna. So that means it's like you've added a little to it. So E plus equals J. J. Got it. Or G plus, with an extra attached to it. So it takes guna as J. All right. J. So that's the morph. The word has morphed. The root G has morphed into J. Now, J plus plus 2 equals the one word jayatu, be victorious. J is the guna of the root G. Is put in there because of that's how you form the word in that class. Don't worry about it. We'll get to that later. And then 2 is the imperative marker. So following the math, you have the ja, which is a J, right? So just take the ja off it. So ja with a virama. Then look over here, and you have and E. I should be using my mark. This mark. I'll try to use this mark from now on. So ja. Ja is J. A equals and E. We saw that before. So if ja is A plus E, and then you have to add an to it because that's a verb thing, and 2, the marker, then this E that's hanging out there turns into a ya. Why? Because E and they don't like each other. So E's got to change. E changes itself to ya, and then is like, yeah, I like you. Now that you're ya, I like you. I don't like you when you're E. I like you when you're ya. So from this, we go to jai. So remember here, we have ja plus or j plus plus the E that turned into a ya becomes jai, and then we add the It became jai, it became the ya because the got in there and made it change. Jaya tu. So G, very quickly going back, G takes guna, becomes J. J plus 2 equals jayatu, to be victorious. J is the guna of the root G, and then you have to add an because of the verb. We'll get to that. And then you add 2 to make it imperative. So J is actually the just sound plus plus E, right? So every A, every J, when you're J, you're and E. J, E, J, E, J, E, J, E. That's fun to say. So J plus plus E. The E, when it meets the goes, whoops, doesn't like me when I'm E. I better become a ya. Then it becomes a ya, and is like, yeah, baby, let's get together. Jayatu, let's be victorious. So once the E has turned into a ya, is happy, and they combine. And this is sort of a simple Sandhi. Jai plus plus 2 becomes jayatu. Now, we're going to return to this in verb morphology. The thing you got to remember is that E plus a becomes ya. The E turns into a ya. The E turns into a Y, and then it connects with the A, so it becomes ya. All right, a little bit more internal Sandhi. We have bhavatu. Let it be, if you will. Let there be being. Here I want you to remember that when U meets an or another vowel, actually when it meets any vowel, when U meets any vowel, but here it turns into a V sound. So, bu is a Sanskrit root, and it means to be. Bu takes guna in the verb. We'll get there. Don't worry about it. Just remember that bu takes guna, so it becomes bo. That's as if it added an to it. Not a long that would be vriddhi. Guna, just a little Should have the chart there. It's my bad. Bo. So now we've got bo. Now, bo is going to have the verbal marker, the verb class marker, and then finally the imperative ending to. We'll get to that. So, our problem here is that bo is actually 2 letters. Bo is b, the b sound, plus an plus an u, right? Because o is and u. So, if we have b plus plus u plus the verb class plus 2 becomes bhavatu. Why? Because u takes a look at over here and says, I don't like you like that. No. I don't want to get together with you. And U goes, oh, I like you so much. Oh, you're just so charming. I better mutate. And U mutates. And what does U mutate into? A homoorganic semivowel. Homoorganic semivowel of the. So the U that is part of bo, because bo is b, and u. The u goes, I'll become a ve. And after it like puts on new clothes and becomes a b, then is like, yeah, let me get some. And then bhavatu. So bo, which is and u, shifts to become b with an and the u of the o, which is and u. There's a lot to say there. It's a mouthful. Becomes a the homoorganic semivowel. So it's buv. So we go from boo to bo to buv, all to make happy. It just does seem like these poor vowels, man, they're like going out to parties, they're lonely, they're sad, they're mingling. So, oh yeah, that's actually not bad. Yeah. Sandhi actually could be translated as mingling. So they were at a party, they're mingling. Having a good time. Ooh, hanging out. And it's like, yeah, like an get me some of that. Goes up to and it's like, hey, I'm an ooh. And says, ew, no, I don't like oohs. So wanders on back, goes to the bathroom, puts on new makeup, changes his clothes, whatever, comes back out, and he's like, I'm a V now. I'm a butchy V. I'm a V. And says, I like a butchy. I like a butchy V. That's good. Let's get together. And so it goes from ooh, and is like, ew. And then, but when ooh butches it up and becomes then the wants to get together and they become ba. They've mingled. Bhavatu. Bam. All right. So a little bit on Sanskrit roots. These are just some Sanskrit roots just throw out there. So Sanskrit's an interesting language because all of the verbs and invariably actually all of the nouns, well, not all of them, but many of them are derived from these verbal roots. So here's a few of them I just want you to kind of learn and, stick them in your head. It'll make sense later. And I'll keep referring to these. One lukewarm soda down. This lecture just keeps on going. Kri. That's an Indo-European root. Now, Sanskrit is an Indo-European language. That means that once upon a time, there's a language called Old Indo-Iranian, and it was being spoken in Persia. The sort of Persian Iranians, once upon a time, got on their chariots and they went in a couple of different directions. One way they went is to Greece, and they kind of influenced Grecian culture with their language. They also went to India, and they influenced Indian languages with their culture and their language. And this caused the languages to alter, the indigenous languages to alter there, influenced by this Indo-European or Proto-Indo-European language. That is why Greek and Sanskrit are cognate languages to some degree. I listened to a bunch of dumbass Harvard scholars one time say, Sanskrit's just Greek, but spelled a little different. I'm like, no, it is not. They're cognate languages, but they are not the same. Anyway, English is an Indo-European language. So English evolved out of sort of Greek and blah, blah, blah. And there's a whole tree. We'll talk about it later. So Crete, from which we get to create, so to make or do an action. So Cree derives to the word karma, which is an action or a ritual. Don't think about this whole what goes around comes around business. That's white people stuff. Karma just means like an action. Yuj, to hitch, becomes yoga. Yoga. Do you notice here that Cree? Oh, wait, is that a little guna action? It sure is. Re becomes AR, karma. Huge. Let's get a little guna action there. Huge becomes yoga, the action of hitching, the hitched. 3, to hold, to strengthen, becomes dharma. See, re again, takes guna, dharma. Bu, to be or to become, strengthens here. What does u do? U, when it meets becomes va. Bhavan, which we have in Hindi. Bhavan just means a home. Or bhavana, which means a dwelling or state of being. Gri, which is one of my favorite words, becomes graha, to grasp or to grab, from the root gri, to seize or to take. Again, guna. Ri becomes r. Or ra. Remember I said it was ra or r? Here, ri becomes ra. Not r, but ra. Graha. Arj, to shine, to gain, to procure. Sanskrit root. Then we get Arjuna, our main character in the Bhagavad Gita, the shining one. Hat. And I know there's some Hatha yogis out there. Hat means to leap, to be wicked, or to treat with violence. Intriguing. So we get Hatha. Hatha is the violent exertion, the somaticized, violent, or forceful version of yoga. Hatha. Da, to give, becomes datta, a gift. So why am I telling you all this? I just want you to see the way that roots change to become nouns in Sanskrit. All right, we're back to internal Sandhi. And we've got Guy Levitt. Is that peanut butter in my chocolate? Is that chocolate in my peanut butter? Okay, I get a little excited about certain things. All right, here are examples that I think are easier to remember and don't have internal Sandhi in the same sort of way. We're learning the examples we saw before, but here, Guy is showing us how to do it with other words that are a little easier to understand. So, ubhau plus eva becomes ubhaveva. So here, ow plus a becomes av. Now, let's look at how this works exactly. Ow, we remember, is a diphthong. So that's a complex vowel. And it's fun to say diphthong. So what ubao really is, because it's complex, is it's complicated, is ubha plus u. So when you see ubhao, think, okay, all right, that's uba plus u. All right, well, now what do I do when uba plus u are hanging out at the party? How's it going? Ubao splits off. It's like a couple that comes to the party and one partner leaves and gets a little randy. U has left Uba. Uba's just hanging out by the keg. U is out wandering around, being very, I don't know, being very femme, let's just say. Just being very femme, being a little twinky, a little excited. U's just wandering around, strutting his business, all Twinkie style, fancy pantsing it up. And he meets A of Ava. And A of Ava is like, I don't really care for the way you're prancing around like this. You know, I like my men like men. And Ava, kind of a dick. But Ooh is like, oh, you just hurt my feelings. So Ooh wanders into the bathroom, butches it up, little bass in the vowel, strengthen the step, shoulders up, butches it up, wanders back into the party. Now, what does Ava do when it sees Ooh turned into Vargas? Yeah, baby. That's a man. I like a man. And as Grace Jones said in Conan the Barbarian, I believe was it the sequel or the original? I think it was the sequel, Conan Part 2. Grace Jones turned to the femmy little gal and said, if you want a man, grab him, take him. So Ava was like, yeah, I want some of that action. Now that U turned into Va, so they come together and become, and they become Uba Veva. So Uba comes back and the other Va hangs around. They all go off to have an incredible orgy at home as Uba Veva. What do I want you to remember? Ow plus A becomes Av. Complex vowels have these parts that change and become a ya or a va in the same way that we saw before with internal Sandhi. Now, a plus e, right? A plus e is a. This is a tricky one. You will forget this, and this will trip you up later. I forget it all the time, and I'm often reminded by my friend scholars. They'll go, dude, Swarga Indra. Indra is in heaven. It's actually Swarge Indra, but the A just becomes an But why does that A become an Let's figure it out. All right. Swarge means in heaven. It's locative. In heaven. Indra, the great god of the Rig Veda, the hero god. Swarge Indra equals Swarga Indra. Why? Because when you look at Swarge, you have to remember that Swarge is Swarg, just see the virama there, so that's taking the vowel off, plus A. And A is complex, is complicated. A is actually A plus E. Now, in this case, Swarge, or Swarg, plus Swarg plus A, which is A, and E, shifts. When it's in front of another vowel, the E shifts and becomes a ya. Now, it's not Swargindra. In fact, in this case, when ya encounters this other vowel, it drops. It just leaves the party altogether. And then Swarga just gets together and leaves. So in this one, to use the party analogy again, Swarge Indra comes to the party. Swarge, A, pairs off from the couple, leaves Swarg doing its own business. Now, A out there is A plus E, and it encounters another vowel here, E, Indra. Indra does not care for A. So A wanders off to the bathroom, butches it all up, comes on out and is like, now I'm a ya. Come on, Indra, do you like me as a ya? And Indra, and the I says, no, fuck off, take off. And the ya just leaves, leaving the behind. And Indra says, I'll get with you, I'll take the seconds. And it becomes Swarga Indra. It's a good one to remember. Swarga Indra is Swarge Indra. All right. I plus any vowel loses its ya. This one, this one, this one. Tasmai plus adadat. Adadat is in the past tense. It means like I gave something. Tasmai is in the dative, so to him, toward him. So this means something like he gave to him, or it could even be like he gave that to him, but let's not worry about it too much. Anyway, you have tasmai adadat. And you could probably come to anyone that learned on Goldman and say tasmai adadat, and they'd just laugh at you and be like, oh, I hate that example. I get it, but I hate that example. So tasmai adadat. Tasmai is actually a long plus an e, plus a long e. So I is actually and e, as we saw a little bit before. So and e from tasmai go to a party. E it's off doing its own thing. And it encounters a vowel. And that vowel's like, I don't like you as E. And then E goes and changes its clothes, he butches it up and comes out and is a ya. But that vowel, like, nope, don't like it at all. So ya leaves the party. But adat, that was like, hey, kind of like that tasma over there, that big old that long So they get together, but they don't leave together. They just stay like a couple just looking at each other. Tasma dot dot. Now, Guy Levitt gives a different example, and he uses eva, which means like indeed. It's an intensifying particle, and he uses the term vadai. So vadai in the dual is like two wives. So I've got the picture of two wives. Vadai eva equals vada eva. Vada eva. So what do you remember here? The I splits and becomes a long and an e. The e turns into a ya and it fucks right off. And then the hangs around and goes and meets the other vowel, and they stare and look at each other from across the room. So anytime that you see a long plus a vowel, stop and think that long with the vowel after it could actually be an I. It will trip you up. That's how it happens. So to Sandhi or not to Sandhi, just remember, don't add too many ingredients. Don't do too many processes. You take words that come together, vowels that come together, one trip through Sandhi. If you do one thing with Sandhi, you don't then apply further Sandhi rules. It's like you do it once and you're done. You're moving on to another set of words. Don't keep applying the Sandhi, though you might be tempted to. And honestly, I'll admit, in handwritten manuscripts, this doesn't always apply. Sometimes they will apply Sandhi 2 times, and it's just really irritating. But it's improper Sanskrit. Okay, now, avagraha. The dreaded avagraha. Remember what graha means? Graha means to seize from the root gri. So avagraha. So in this sense, look at my, that's funny. Dropping, there's a ga there. So I just enjoyed this meme, from The Shining, which I do believe is the greatest movie ever made. We have all 4 seasons in Kirksville, they said. It'll be fun, they said. But what is the example that you're going to need to remember here? It is they said. That's why I'm bringing this up. Okay. They said te bravan or te bruvan. All right. Now, a, the E in English, a, plus a short becomes a. The A stays the same, but the short a fucks right off. It just is gone. So you don't even pronounce it. But it's still there. It's like its shadow is still there. So what does its shadow look like? It looks like this avagraha, which looks like a funky little English S. So te plus abruvan, the fucks right off, but it's has a shadow that's left behind. And that's this little S thing that looks very elegant when it's written in Sanskrit. It looks really terrible in this font. So how would I say te abruvan? When it's written like this, you see that the is there. It's still there. Its shadow is there, but you don't pronounce it. So when you see this, te abruvan, you pronounce it tebruvan. Tebruvan. Te abruvan. Oh, just trip over that. Te abruvan. No, bad Sanskrit. Tebruvan. Tebruvan. So when you see that little S there, that is the shadow of a short A. Now, do you pronounce it when you read it? No, you do not. But if you go to look it up in a dictionary, you got to remember when you look up bruvan, don't go look up bruvan. You have to look up bruvan. So it's there, but it's just a shadow. That was a fun way to think about it. An awagraha looks like an S, but an awagraha is just the shadow of a short There you go. Why didn't I think of that before? That's a good one. Awagraha is the shadow of a short So when you see the awagraha, you don't pronounce but you know that there is an there. All right, let's look at an example from Mr. Robert Goldman. Bharat or Bharata Deshe Avasat. Bharat is the name of India in Sanskrit. Remember the word India? That's not really a word in any Indic languages. India is actually, we think it might have been as early as in Greek, they referred to India as India. But in India, only people when they're speaking in English refer to India as India. If you're speaking Hindi, you would say Bharat. Bharat. So Bharat Deshe. Desha is a word that means a country. Comes from an interesting root word dik, which means direction. So dik becomes desh. We'll get into that later. And it's in the locative. So here, Bharat Deshe, in the direction or the country of India. And avasat is a past tense of the word us. So avasat means, it's vas, sorry. I'm wrong on that. Vas means to dwell. So if you have Bharate avasat, he lived in India, you would actually drop the but its shadow remains in this funky little S called an awagraha. And in fact, you see how I have a gap here? Over here, you'll actually see that you connect these words. So that sa actually looks like it connects right to that next letter. There's no space between them. So Bharat Deshe Vasat. So Bharat Deshe Avasat becomes Bharat Deshe Vasat. So you don't say the but its shadow remains. Guy Levitt's got you. Deve plus uppy. That's way easier to remember. But it's not as meaningful. That's the problem for me. So Deve plus uppy becomes Devepi. See? The dropped, but its shadow remains in the awagraha. Now, there is another example that Mr. Robert Goldman does not include. And I remember that my Sanskrit teacher was very upset about this. Actually, this applies also to O. So if you had to, which means nothing, abruvan, it would be to bruvan. Here, vayo, which means something like a bird. Atra means like here. Vayo, atra, the drops in front of the O, but its shadow remains as the awagraha comes together. Vayo, atra becomes vayotra. Vayotra. So when you see that funky little S, it's the shadow of an That's what I want you to remember. Funny little S, shadow of an And that one's easy to remember, actually. You'll get really used to that. All right, so there are some kind of weird exceptions. Goldman gives them the term, and traditionally the term is pragriha, which means to take something separately. So Goldman gives 3 rules for when you do not use sandhi. Now, there's only one that's really, really important to you. The 3 rules are E, U, and A, which are dual endings. Do not do sandhi. E and E in a specific pronoun, which is abi, or ami, ami does not take sandhi. But this is the important one. Vowels of interjection. Ha, hey, and bo. Now, what does it mean to interject on something? It's like I wander in the room and go, hey, Bill. Hey, Bill. That's an interjection. Hey. Or actually, I kind of like it when people walk into a room and say, hey, yo, that's also an interjection. So if I say, hey, Bill, that hey is the same in Sanskrit. Ha, hey, and bo are the same. So the example to always remember is, hey, Aryaputra. See that A? We're not doing the fact that the A is an and an I and turning it into a ya and combining them. Nope, you just leave them alone. You take them apart. You take them separately. So, hey, Aryaputra is just, hey, Aryaputra. Now, there's this other example, dwe. I hate this script because it won't connect that my va nice to my duh. So that looks really funny to me. But if it's dwe kanye agachataha, agachata means to come or to arrive. Kanye means a fancy maiden, a young gal, a princess. So dwe is two, like dual, European, dual. Dwe means two. So dwe kanye agachataha. Notice in these dual endings of dve and kanye, both dual endings, you're not rendering that a into and e and putting a ya in it. So in the duals, it's fine. You do not render them. You don't do anything with them. You leave them alone. And when you have ha Arjuna as a name, or hey Arjuna, or bo Arjuna, you don't do any Sandhi. Take them apart. It's all good. Leave them alone. So those are some exceptions. Now, let's look at this a little further. This is from Guy Levitt. So he gives you three examples that I think are really good to remember. Agni plus Atra. Now, Agni here is in the dual voice, or is in the dual, the dual case, not voice, case. So Agni, two fires right here. No Sandhi. Bandhu is like a binding. You might know the term bandha as a lock in the body in yoga, but bandhu is a binding. Here, bandhu and the long u is dual. So there's no Sandhi. Bandhuiva. It's not bandhaviva. It's bandhuiva. It's left alone. So in reality, you're reading right along. You're like, no, there's just no Sandhi there. And you just won't think twice about it, but this is the reason for it. And the really good one to remember is netre api. Netre, two eyes. Netra, from the Sanskrit root ni, which means to lead someone somewhere. What does your eye do? It leads you. Netra plus api, but the two eyes. So those are examples of when you don't do Sandhi, but there's a big thing that you should remember, and that's ha, bo, hey, ha. Interjection does not connect. There's no Sandhi. So in fact, if you're reading the Bhagavad Gita, you'll hear Krishna constantly be like, hey, Arjuna, H-E, and then Arjuna. It's not, what would it be? It would be Arjuna. He doesn't say Arjuna. He says, hey, Arjuna. Why? Why is there this exception? It's for the same reason that when we say, hey, Bill, that's a word in and of itself. It has its own potency. So we leave it alone. There's some more resources on Sandhi. They're on the PowerPoint. I kind of quite like a couple of these. You'll use them as you see fit. All right. Now we're doing some cool stuff. All right. So we've done the vowels and we've been doing some other sort of vowel type stuff. Now we're going to move into initial and final positions, by which I mean ways that ways that letters change when they are at the end of a word or at the beginning of a word. To this, I think they are mutants. When certain sounds encounter other sounds, they change. Usually, the sound preceding changes, but sometimes the afterword changes, but mostly preceding. So think of it this way. When certain sounds encounter other sounds, the one sound vibrates, mutates, radiates atomic radiation, making this one go, oh, I got a vibe like you. I can vibrate like that. I can mutate like that, so we can come together. And we will be seeing this happen. This is my trying to put Goldman into English and not doing a very good job. But I've got a way to teach this, and I think you're going to like it. So we got to go back to the chart. Page 13 of Goldman, in fact, sets out this kind of really slick, cool thing. This is our Sanskrit vocab. This is our Sanskrit syllabary. Now, you remember I was screaming at you. Ow, ha, ka ka ga ga na, cha 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 na, ta 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 na, ta 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 na, pa 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 ma, yara lava, ha, sort of, shashasa. So this is our Sanskrit alphabet, and it's depicted here. What you'll notice is that there is an incredible elegance here. And as we move on to this next part, we're going to see how the Sanskrit alphabet actually tells you what you need to do with Sandhi. So we're going to refer back to it a lot. So I pulled this image straight out of Goldman. And what I want you to pay attention to is these little things up here with these V's. So V means voiced. A means aspirate. So in this section, this is non-voiced, unvoiced, see a little minus, unaspirated, minus aspirated. Here we see minus voice plus aspirated, plus voice minus aspirated, plus voice minus aspirated, plus voice minus voice. Let's talk about what this is. Linguistics argues and explains that when a sound is voiced, it means that you're vibrating your vocal cords. So that's voicing. Now, we don't think about this in English, but it does happen in English. Dogs, dogs, dogs. Let's leave that alone. Okay, so do this with me. Say ka. Put your hand right here. Do it again. Ka, ka. Okay, there's a little bit of vibration, not much. Ka. Now, aspiration is when you breathe out as you say a sound. So we went from ka to ka. Remember, this is that ka. This trips you all up. You will learn it. This syllable is tricky for y'all because it looks like a Ratnava. I get it. So ka, unvoiced. Ka, unvoiced but aspirated. Ga. Oh. Ga. Ga. Wait. Ka. Ga. Ka. Ga. Oh, there's a big old buzz right there. Ga. All right, so that's voiced because there's a buzz in your mouth, in your throat. Ga. Breathing out, aspirated. So one way to think about aspiration is just like there's a ha attached to it. There's a little H. There's an out breath. Ga. And then finally you have ka ka ga ga na. To get that na, I like to say ka and then na first. So I got ka na to get that na na to get the back of the throat. Na. Oh, buzz, buzz, buzz. Then we get a huh? Oh, no buzz, no buzz. All right, let's do chuz. Then we'll move on. Cha. No, no buzz, no real buzz. Cha. No real buzz, but I breathe out. It's aspirated. Ja. Oh, ja. Ja, 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 ja. Yeah, the buzz there. Ja, ja. Yeah, buzz. Huh. Nah, nah, nah. Yeah, nah, 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 nah. Yeah, there's a buzz there. Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, it's definitely there. Sha. Wait, nope, nothing. So this is voicing and aspiration. And these are important in the rules that are coming. So unvoiced, one way that I think about it spatially is it's that far left side of the alphabet and the far right side of the alphabet. Those are voiced. Or, sorry, unvoiced. I completely got that backward. English is hard. So unvoiced, far left, far right. Voiced is in the center. But here's the thing. All vowels, all of those are voiced. So that's not on the chart, but just remember, all vowels are voiced. Okay, we've got that. We're going to apply it now. All right, Goldman. Final. Yeah, okay. I want to come back to that. Okay, I don't even want to do this. That's bad. All right, most words that you're going to encounter, especially that when they're in the nominative, will have a little s ending. A s, Remember the virama? Virama means there's no vowel. Now, there's a lot of now endings that'll have that little at the end of it, but a lot of them are the nominative singular. We'll get to that. Don't worry. That will make sense in time. So when you see that little at the end of something without a vowel, it will become a visarga. Visarga. So, which is also, visarga is also a word for, so it's the out breath. It can also be ejaculation. So when you see this little dot, you can think of ejaculation if you want, but think it's like an extra outer breath. So when you see, think visarga, because usually that little sa, it's at the end of a lot of words, just becomes a visarga. Now you're going to find all sorts of vowels that end in the sa. So you have kus, kas, his, kus, quos, kaus, case, kais, but you would generally see them if they're at the end of a word and nothing comes after it. All those sa sounds will become visargas. So kaha, kaha, hihi, hihi, kuhu, kuhu, koho, kaho, or cow, ko, ke, kai, kai. All right. Also, you'll see endings with these different sibilants. So you see this sa. So in fact, sometimes it doesn't become the visarga. We'll get to this. I'll explain it all to you. I promise. Sometimes it will end and shift and become one of the different sibilants. The point to remember is when you see the visarga, remember that it's standing in for a little sound. No vowel. Okay. So just keep that in your head. All right, so we're starting and dealing with words in final position. With a word that it doesn't have anything else coming after it. It's at the end of a sentence, or for various reasons, it's not going to connect to another word. So that's in the absolute final position at the end of a sentence, no matter what the voicing is, I'm going to get to that in a second, it's just going to become a visarga. Nothing comes after the visarga. That's it. So if you're at the end of a sentence and you have agnis, you'll write agnihi. Agnihi, the visarga. Bahus, the many. Bahuhu. Bahuhu. I know it's kind of fun to say. It's kind of weird sounding, but bahuhu. Kartris, kartrihi. That's a rihi right there. The ri is an initial syllable. So most nouns that you'll encounter will have will have that little after it, and that will become a visarga. I see it all the time. So think of this as like your base step. This is the most basic spot. Most nouns will have a little sound at the end of it, and that will become a visarga. All right. Remember voicing? These are our voiced consonants. And remember that all vowels are voiced. What do I mean by voice? Buzz, buzz, guh, guh, nah. Got it? All right. Voiced. Okay. Now we're into the big business here. This is where stuff gets really interesting. And you know what? Honestly, these rules have always been hard for me to keep straight in my head. But you just get so used to seeing them when you're just reading Sanskrit in the wild that you just sort of read along and you internalize them. You know you're there and you just don't really even think about them that much. But you need to know the background on it. Okay. Remember they said that all vowels are voiced. So the s sound before any voiced initial becomes a ra. All right? Okay. So look over here. Ra, you see it's voiced. That s sound, unvoiced. So it's either a sa or a ha or a visarga, unvoiced. But if it encounters any voiced initial, which is this column, this column, this column, and this column, it becomes a ra. A ra with a virama on it, in fact. So looking at the chart, you go from agnis plus eva. Eva is a particle. It means like. It means like, if you want, it means like. The one I like to remember is kapiva. Kapi Eva, like a monkey. So Eva or apiva, like and. Anyway, so Agnis becomes Agnir Eva. Why? The sa sound, going down here, that's a sa sound. So the sa becomes the visarga at the end of every word final. That was our last rule. In this rule, our s here at the end that doesn't have a vowel on it, if it encounters a voiced initial, anything in this kind of middle section here with a V plus, it becomes a ra. So Agnis, sa meets ra, meets sa, meets e, and all vowels are voiced, becomes So Agnirva. Let's look at another example. Vishnos, which is in the genitive of Vishnu. Ayudham means a weapon. Now, that's from the Sanskrit root, yud, and someone who yud means to make war, to battle, to quarrel. However, we do have a funny little green guy in Star Wars called Yoda, right? But if I aspirate his name, Yodha, that would be a warrior. And George Lucas actually didn't study Sanskrit, but he borrowed a lot. So for instance, you have Luke Skywalker, Kechari, one who courses across the sky, or a hero in yoga, Kechari. Anyway, Skywalker. All right, Vishnos Ayudham. The s sound meets the voiced initial. All vowels are voiced. When the s sound meets a voiced initial, it becomes ara. Vishnor Ayudham. Vishnos Ayudham becomes Vishnor Ayudham. It's easier to say. It might not sound like it right now, but it does. Vishnos Ayudham, Vishnor Ayudham. All right. Now, we have some excellent Sandhi right here. Gatis means like a way, a course, a path. And then you have Nasti. Not nasty, Nasti. Nasti, in fact, is another little Sandhi. Remember, short A and short A come together to make long A. So this is one of the things I love about Goldman. He teaches you something in an example, and then he'll apply it like right afterward in like another one. So with every example, you're building and learning and what's the word? Reaffirming sort of your knowledge from a prior lesson. So gatis nasti becomes gatirnasti. The sound encounters this na. Well, let's go down here. Na is voiced. And what's our rule? When our s encounters a voiced initial, any voiced initial, it turns into a ra. So you get gatirnasti. Nice, huh? It's good stuff. Uh-oh. This one has two sandhis in it too. Hares. So we have the vowel Hare, which means Hari. It's a name. Sometimes the name of Krishna. You may have heard of Hari Krishna. So Hares of Hari, in the genitive, and Gauss. Gauss means cow. All right. So the sa, all right, that's our sa, and it encounters a ga, that's voiced. So it becomes Harer Gauss. No, you can't say Gauss at the end. Not at the absolute final. What do we do with an absolute final? It's got a sa in it. We turn it into Visarga. So here, two rules again. Oh, you sneaky Goldman. You also will notice 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are Sanskrit numbers. Now, we say when we write in English that our numbers are Arabic numerals, to be contrasted with like Roman numerals. But in fact, the Arabs in Arabic, in fact, was the Persians, encountered the Sanskrit number system and they picked it up. So our Arabic numerals, because you can see a 1, you can see a 2, you can see a 3, and you can clearly see a 4. When it gets to 5, I get confused. I'm not great with the numerals. I never have been. I don't know why. I'm like a bone in my head that won't let me do it. So here, our Arabic numerals are 1, 2, 3, 4, we see are actually based on Sanskrit numerals. So we should call them Sanskrit numerals because the Sanskrit numerals came first. Okay, so once again, Hares turns into, when it encounters, it doesn't turn into a Visarga. It encounters a voiced initial. It's not in the absolute final when it would turn into a Visarga. And that ga is voiced. So the ts becomes a ra. Harer, gaus, but that s there is in the final position. So what does it become? Visarga! Our glorious Visargas. I love Visargas. All right. Here is an exception. Just be aware of this. Don't lose sleep over it. I would probably lose sleep over it. I get upset about things like this. So Sanskrit will not allow you to do a double ra. It's just, no, it's bad. No, thank you. No double ra. No double ra is allowed. So if we have agnis, again, fire, like up here, rochete. All right, well, here's a ra. That's voiced, right? So it should become agnir plus rochete. But Sanskrit says, fuck off, no double ra. So in fact, what happens is the ra takes off, fucks right the fuck off. But the agni is jealous. So rochete meets agnir, or it meets agnis. Agnis turns into agnir. And then rochete says, I am not, it's like the Seinfeld episode, I'm not going to date myself. I don't want to date someone who's just like me. And so the ra fucks right off. Agnis just tells ra to just kick it. And ra's gone because rochete does not like ra. Don't want to date myself. But Agni's a little pissed at rochete. Rochete's like, come on, shining. Fire shines, of course. Rochete, you made me tell that ra to fuck right off. But you know what? I'm not happy about it. So rochete is friendly. That ra is like, okay, I did tell you to get rid of your pal ra. And because I did that, you know what? Let's make you long and strong. So agni, our vowel, gets long. So it becomes agni rochete. What do you need to remember on this? Well, you're going to forget this. I forget this all the time. If you see a ra and you see a long vowel before it, an e, or an u, be suspect, because that might actually be a short vowel with a visarga, but the ra took off. Want to do something else. Break it. This is where I'm doing a little bit of a different way of teaching than I initially taught these. And it works really great in class because what I would do is I would explain that, tell me a little story about the vowels of the party. And then I would have the students, I would call on them and have them see the final form. So see here, you have the initial form and the final forms with the sandhis. Here, I want you to process it again, but in reverse. Because you will never see agnis plus eva in Sanskrit. What you will encounter is agnir eva. So it's not that you need to because you're not going to write in Sanskrit. Nobody does. Well, people do, but no, you're not going to. You're not going to need to remember agnis plus eva equals agnir eva. What you are going to need to remember is when you see agnir eva, that it is agnis eva. Because if you go and you look up agnir, no chance. You're not going to find that in the Sanskrit dictionary. Agnis, you will. So you have to remember when you see agnir eva, that it is an eva, is its own word, and that ra sound is actually a s or a visarga. It could be either. There's some spelling subtle. Let's not get into it. So agnir eva equals agnis plus eva. It's good to remember these examples twice around. So you would memorize agnis eva, agnir eva, agnir eva, agnis eva. You have to have them both kind of in your head. Vishnor ayudam, Vishnos ayudam. Gatir nasti, gatis nasti, na asti. Gatir nasti, gatis nasti, gatir nasti. Harer gaho, Gauhaha. Hares. Gauhaha. Remember that sa from our earlier rule becomes a visarga in the absolute final. And then when you see Agni Rochati, you need to remember that it's Agnis Rochati. The double R happens, that one of the R's goes away, and then the vowel strengthens. Again, remember, this is all because all these vowels, or the s sound is encountering a voiced initial. All vowels are voiced. All vowels are voiced. Na, voiced. Ga, voiced. That's the trick. The s sound meets the voiced one, and it changes in this way into an R. Okay, now we're going to look at some unvoiced ones. So remember our unvoiced sections like this. All right, so we have our visarga, we have our little s sound, and it's before a non-voiced initial. All right, here is Goldman's math. Chavarga, Kavarga, Kavarga, the classes, the Talavya, Mordaya, the Dantya. Palatal, retroflex, dental. All right. When the cha, the ta, and the tavarga, or when the s encounters the chavarga, the tavarga, and the tavarga, in the unvoiced part, so these letters, these three, cha, cha, ta, 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 da, they correspond to and change into the appropriate sibilant. What's a sibilant? Sha, sa, sa, are sus. So what I want you to see is when cha, cha, ta, ta, or ta and da come before the sa, then the s doesn't drop, doesn't turn into a visarga, but it shifts into an appropriate sibilant. So Haris, Hari is the name. Hey, it's Hari. Chalati, or charati for that matter, they mean the same thing. Goes or courses. Sanskrit, like to course across the earth, is another Indo-European root. So Haris Chalati becomes Harish Chalati. Here, watch this. Come up here and look at my cursor. Looking at my cursor, all right? So we've got the s sound. S. Is it going to be a visarga? No, because it's not in the word final. Is it going to change as we saw before into a ra sound? No, because it's not in front of a voiced initial. Or not, because, yeah. But here, the s meets an unvoiced of the cha, the ta, and the ta class. So here we have the s, and it meets ha. So what does it do? It becomes a sha, because ha's appropriated with sha. That just is. The other one will make a little bit more sense, I promise. So, unvoiced initial. Cha. Sorry, I was wrong on the ha. I got ahead of myself. Haris, so the s meets the cha. There's the cha, so it becomes sha. When the ending little s is not in the absolute final position, and it encounters an unvoiced consonant of the cha, ta, and ta class, it shifts to the appropriate sibilant, the appropriate s. So if we look here and we see Vishnos plus Chaya, Chaya is a great word. It means shadow. I had a friend who had a little black dog that he named Chaya. It was adorable. Okay, Chaya. Chaya can also be a commentary or a gloss of a Sanskrit phrase. We don't need to worry about that. Chaya Chidrani are cracks in the shadow where demons can get into, but that's just for fun. Vishnus plus Chaya. So here our sa, right, encounters what? Cha. Oh, crap. That is an unvoiced initial of the cha, ta, or ta class. So it turns into sha. Now, if we go back to our party, cha hanging around, being all cool and stuff. The wanders on in. Cha takes a good look at He goes, I don't like it. Don't care for it one bit. Wanders off into the bathroom and becomes a sibilant. A sibilant. So it's sibil. It gets a little bit of a lisp. It's syllabants. So it wanders out syllabanting. That's kind of fun to say. Syllabanting around. And Cha goes, yeah, I like it when you syllabant. And they get together and they combine to become Vishnos Chaya. So again, say them out loud. Haris Chalati. Haris Chalati. Haris Chalati. Haris Chalati. Haris Chalati. Vishnos Chaya. Vishnos Chaya. Got it? Bring it! So you'll never see Haris Chalati, but you will see Haris Chalati. And when you see Haris Chalati, you need to go, what's that thing? What is that? It's syllabanting all around. It's Haris Chalati. Vishnos Chaya. Is that a little saw that's syllabanting? Sure is. Vishnos Chaya. All right. Now we have this again, because we're playing with or the ending. When it's not in the final, when it turns to Visarga, it does something else. Here, before non-voiced initials of the cha, ta, and ta class, it changes to the appropriate sibilant of the class. Haris, Hari, that's our Hari guy again, just a name. Pika is a great word. It means a commentary. Karoti means to create, from the Sanskrit root kri, to make. So Hari creates a commentary, or Hari writes a commentary. Haris tikam karoti, but what is it? Haris looks at tika, that's that retroflex in that class, and the haha changes to our sibilant, our homoorganic sibilant of the same class. So we go from Haris tikam karoti to Harishtikam karoti. Haristikam karoti, hard to say. Harishtikam karoti, easy to say. All right. Agnis plus tikshna. Agni, we've seen before, is fire. Tikshna means sharp or fierce. Harishtikna. Haris tikshna. The sa, ta class, dental. So we've seen a cha, a ta, and a ta class. When it meets that dental ta, it hits the sa sound. So Agnis tikshna becomes Agnis tikshna. Wait a minute, it didn't become anything. Well, it actually did. So the sa here, your Visarga sa, actually just becomes the dental sa. So there is an action here, but you don't usually see it. Cha, cha, and ta are really common changes on this one. The aspirated ones, not, I mean, like you just don't see them. You don't see this as much with other ones. So what I want you to remember is cha, cha, and ta often become sha or sa without a vowel. Of course. Right. Harishtikam karoti. When I see Harishtikam karoti, I go, oh, look, there's that retroflex. And there's a retroflex sha on there. I bet that's a sa, or which would be a visarga if it was at the end. And if I see Agnis tikshna, I'd go, oh, no, there's that T on tikshna. That sa there, I think that's a regular sa. That's so it's like there's a visarga on the end of it if I was looking it up. All right. Sa, the sa sibilant before any non-voiced word initials becomes a visarga. So think of it this way. Sa before non-voiced word initials are just a visarga. This is a visarga rule. So haris plus pashyati, harihi pashyati. Now, why? It's this non-voicing. Pa, non-voiced. Because the visarga, which is non-voiced itself, hits pa, it becomes a visarga. Harihi pashyati. So, ihi plus voiced initial or non-voiced initial, pa or non-voiced initial, becomes harihi. It becomes a visarga. So if I look here, haris kanati. Well, where's ka? Oh, ka up there. Ka is an unvoiced initial. So what's going to happen here? Some visarga action. I misspelled that as a hara kanati, but this would be harihi kanati. Sorry, I'm spelling there, but harihi kanati. All right, break it. So if you see harihi pashyati, you got to think to your head, haris pashyati. If you see harihi kanati, you think haris kanati. Now notice when you hit a visarga there, you don't combine. These words, the visarga is like it's done. There's the out breath, boom. Harihi, done. Does not combine with the next letter. All right. Here's a little pop quiz on doing Sandhis. Agni and Eva, Agni, Eva, Harer, Gao, Hares, Gao, Agnihi, blah. Agnihi is Agnis. So these are our examples from before. Harish tikna karoti, Haris tika karoti, Vishnor ayudham, Vishnos ayudham. Let me go a little slower on that. Agnis tikshna, Agnis tikshna. Gatir nasti, Gatis na asti. Haris pashyati, spelled on my part, Haris pashyati. Harihi kanati, Haris kanati. Moving right along. All right, we're doing this up. We are at after a final or an becomes a visarga when it's at the end of a sentence or it's before a non-voiced initial. Remember that all vowels are voiced. All vowels are voiced. And our thing is when we have s or as in the end of a sentence, it just becomes a visarga. But if it's before a non-voiced initial, then it also turns into a visarga. Let's look at some examples. We have Ramas pashyati. Pa, right here, see our pa is unvoiced. Pa unvoiced means that Ramas becomes what? Ramaha. Ramaha pashyati. Ramas, so pashyati means to see. Pashyati, he sees. So Rama sees. We're going to talk a lot about Rama. Ramas sitam pashyati. I had this friend who is a Tibetan scholar, very good scholar of Tibetan. And she came over to my apartment because I was known to be somebody who really loved Sanskrit, but wasn't terribly good at it. And she just sat in my desk chair in the studio apartment I was living in. And she just sat there I hate Rama so much. I don't care if he goes to the forest. I don't care what he sees. I don't care about Sita. I hate Rama so much. And I was like, you're going to quit Sanskrit because you hate Rama? And she's like, no, I hate Sanskrit and I really hate Rama. And she quit Sanskrit. And she's a fine Tibetanist and a great colleague of mine. But Sanskrit was not in her wheelhouse. It was just something that she did not care for, despite being damn near fluent in Nepali, Tibetan, modern Tibetan, and Chinese. Girl, smart, but did not care for Sanskrit. Ramaha sitam pashyati. Ramas, nominative. So that's our subject. Sitam, that's in the accusative. I'll explain what all those mean soon enough. Pashyati. What does that mean? To see. Here, Ramas encounters Sita. Well, sa. Unvoiced. Our sibilants are all unvoiced. When you have this s sound that meets an unvoiced initial, it becomes a mere visarga. Just becomes a visarga. It's all good. So Ramas sitam pashyati becomes Ramaha sitam pashyati. Ramaha okay? Plus chalati. All right, let's take a look up here. That's unvoiced. However, there's an exception. Ramas meets cha. So it would be a visarga. But in fact, when a visarga meets a cha, it turns into a sibilant. Remember, we talked about this before, how the visargas will change in the cha and ta classes. So that's ramas chalati. Remember, we have pa. That's not in the cha, ta classes. And we have sa, but that's not a consonant over here. But then when we come to cha, we're in the cha, ta, unvoiced initial classes. So the sa becomes a cha. We see that in lesson 3.3. All right. One of the best ways I think to remember this is a mantra. Now, Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namo Shivaya, or Om Namah Shivaya, or Om Namaha Shivaya. No matter how you say it, it'd be written out this way. Om Namas Shivaya. So the sa sound becomes dot visarga. Om Namaha Shivaya. Let's not worry about the namo thing right now. Okay, it's all okay. All right, here we go. Break it. Ramaha Pashyati is Ramas Pashyati. Why? Because pa is an unvoiced initial. Ramaha Sitam Pashyati is Ramas Sitam Pashyati. Why? Because sa is a sibilant and is unvoiced. Ramas Chalati is a sha because it's in the cha, ta classes. And Om Namaha Shivaya is Om Namas Shivaya, just like Om Namo Shivaya is Om Namas Shivaya. All right, moving right along. Here's that O thing that we got to. All right. So when you have the us before any voiced consonant or a short then it becomes an O. If it's a non-voiced consonant or a vowel other than that's something completely different that we'll get to right next. So, Ramas Gachati. All right. I've got an us. I've got ga. So I come over to my chart and I go, okay, where's ga? Ga is right there. That would be voiced. That's a voiced initial. When the us meets a voiced initial, what does it turn into? O. Ramo Gachati. Gachati means go from the Sanskrit root gum. Ramo Gachati. You may remember me saying in class, Ramo Vanam Gachati. That's actually Ramas Vanam Gachati. Why is it Ramas Vanam? Va, forest, is also voiced. Ramo Vanam Gachati, Ramo Gachati. Pashyatas Rajaha. Rajaha or Ragnaha means something like, this isn't a good example for translating. It means it's a rule that we're going to learn like chapter 14. Pashyatas Ragnaha are both in the genitive, so it makes it a genitive, what's called a genitive absolute, which makes it a participial phrase. That's not important to remember. We got to remember is Pashyatahas meets Ra. Where's Ra? Over here. It's voiced. That means Pashyato Ragnaha. All right, we're moving right along. Ramas Ayam. Okay. Ramas meets Ayam. We have two rules here. Here we have Ramas becomes Ramo, right? But remember the awagraha or the fucks right off, but it leaves its shadow behind. So you have two rules here. The short is not pronounced, and it just has a shadow remaining. So Ramas ayam, he, ayam means like he is Rama. And it has a short so it becomes Ramoyam. Ramas ayam becomes Ramoyam. The us becomes o, and the leaves with an avagraha. Pashyatas arjunasya is another genitive absolute. Pash from the Sanskrit root, pashyatas from the Sanskrit root, pash to see. Arjuna actively looks. Arjuna watches. While Arjuna watches. Pashyatas arjunasya becomes pashyato, and we still have that short so it fucks right off and leaves its shadow behind of the avagraha. Pashyato, so this would be pashyatorjanasya. Man, that's hard for me to say. Pashyatorjunasya. Pashyatas arjunasya. Pashyatorjunasya. All right, break it. Ramo gachati is Ramas gachati. Why? Voiced consonant or short a. Pashyatas ragnyaha. Pashyato ragnyaha becomes pashyatas ragnyaha. Why? Voiced initial ra. Ramo yam, ramas ayam, voiced initial short only short ramoyam. Pashyatorjanasya becomes pashyatas arjunasya. So remember that a plus equals I with the avagraha. Ow plus equals ow avagraha. Or that should be o, not ow. Sorry. One good example here that we had in the past was Ramo Bruvan or Te Bruvan. Ramo Bruvan, Te Bruvan is actually Ramo Abruvan or Te Abruvan. All right, moving right along. The sa, wonder how long my voice is going to hang out. This is a very long video, y'all. This before any non-A vowel. All right. So before we had vowels or voiced initials. Now we have the before any non-A vowel. Here, drops before all non-A vowels. All vowels are voiced. So we don't have to consider voicing. Our only concern here is that it is a non-short A. Because in a short A, it becomes O. So, Ramas uvacha. So, U, voiced, vowel, non-A, Visarga just drops. It's just gone. Rama uvacha. Rama uvacha. You want it to say Ramovacha or something like that, but it's just Rama uvacha. Why? Why don't I connect the uvacha there? Uvacha says to speak out. Why? One trip through Sandhi, not two. So Ramas uvacha becomes Rama uvacha, does not become Ramovacha, because you only do the Sandhi once, except in the case of the avagrahas. That's the only one where you do it another time. I know. It sounds great. What do you want? All right. Buddha plus Eva Vidyaya. Vidyaya means Vidya, which means wisdom or insight. Can also be a mantra, it's called a Vidya. Or a goddess can be called a Vidya. We have the Mahavidyas, which are goddesses in the east of India. Buddhas Eva Vidyaya. Eva is a voiced non-A vowel. Buddha, no visarga, Eva Vidyaya. So before a non-A vowel, it's almost like it turns into a visarga and then the visarga goes away, if you want to think of it that way. The visarga is dropped. All right, break it. Ramovacha, Ramas uvacha. Buddha Eva Vidyaya, or Buddha Eva Vidyaya. Notice you don't go Buddhava or something like that, because you only do the Sandhi once. Buddha Eva Vidyaya. All right, let's review for a quick second. Swara is a simple sound. Then guna is a heavier sound, and vriddhi is the swollen sound. So if we look to these different classes, we go vidya, or never mind, it's internal study, sorry. Or a, it's like it has a short added to it. So in this one, it stays short or becomes long But in vriddhi, it's swollen. It has a big a long added to it. So it becomes long So with e, you add a short to it, and it becomes a. If it's e that gets a long added to it, it would be I. If you have u to become guna, it would be o. And even further, ow. Ri becomes r or ra, and ri becomes in the vriddhi form as r or ra. Now, back to my pal Michael Jerryson, whom I miss terribly. Michael Jerryson is important because he has a second level of Sandhi in his very name. Michael had a different last name than his last name throughout his life, which was Jerryson. And his wife's last name was Johnson, and was so they actually created and took on a different name, which a lot of couples do. I know Anya Foxen, a yoga scholar, her name when I met her was a Russian name, Pokazneva, I believe it was. And she, when she married her husband, they both took the last name Foxen after one of their favorite wines. And Foxen has a nice ring to it. Pokazneva took me I had to have her write it out in Devavanipraveshika for me to be able to say it out loud one time when I had her speak to one of my classes. Okay, so when I was talking about guna and vriddhi, it has a lot of meaning that we're going to get to later, but I wanted to introduce it here. So Michael took the name son of Jerry. His father's name was Jerry. So let's just take this word Jerry. Now, Jerry, if I look at the vriddhi, would be Jairi. Now, Jairi with the vriddhi, like yoga, yuj, yoga, yaugya, that I said before, or yauga, means one associated with Jerry, or Jairi would be from the clan of Jerry. So my dad's name is Rick, and if we look back, my dad's name is Rick. So if we look to it would be, my name would be Rick, the son of Rick, or Reich, the son of Rick. So Jairi vriddhi, means one associated with the clan of Jerry. The guna makes it more abstract, like a clan term. The term kula means clan or family. Kaula means one associated with the clan or the family. In the same way, Jerry plus the word putra, the son of Jerry, with a long I. Now, if I say Jerry Putra, son of Jerry, that's Michael's name, Jerry's son. Jairi Putra would be son in the clan of Jerry. So Jairi, son from the clan of Jerry. All right, that's interesting. Let's keep working with this. What if I had Putra and I made it Pautra? Pautra would mean one associated with a son. Putra, Pautra. Guna and vriddhi. So Jerry Pautra would be one who is associated with the son in the clan of Jerry. Jerry Pautra, the child or grandchild in the clan of Jerry. So the children of Jerry, the children of the clan Jerry. So Michael's kids, Sienna Sandhi and Parker, I don't know his son's middle name. I feel bad about that. Charming lad. I love Parker. So you could look at his kids and say Jairi Pautra to refer to all of them. But you can go further. You could have Jerry Pautra and put a long A on it, which I failed to do there, which would be a female associated with Jerry's son. So Michael's wife, whose name is Fawn, would be Jairi Pautra, long A. So all this is to show how some of these internal sandhis that we're learning will have greater value and meaning as we move along. Remember, yuj, to join, Sanskrit root, yoga, act of joining, yoga, associated with joining. All right, back to the Sandhi. Okay, us in two cases. These are sort of like exceptions. So when you have the pronouns saha or eshaha, and these are specific words, they're masculine pronouns, meaning he. Here, the rule only applies to the visarga and eshaha or saha before any consonant, regardless of voicing. Saha or eshaha just drops. So any consonant, ka through haha, so any non-vowel in the pronoun saha or eshaha, it just drops. So if I say sas Krishna, he is Krishna, sa Krishna. Eshas shukas asti, the eshaha drops. Whoa, what's that? Eshaha suko asti? Wait, what was that? What was it? Oh, yeah. The s sound before a vowel, which is voiced, becomes oh, shuko. But that that stands alone fucks right off and leaves its shadow behind in the awagraha. So eshas shukom or shukas asti becomes eshaha shuko asti. So eshaha shuko asti. All right. So or that would actually be eshas shukosti. So break it. Sa Krishnaha is sas Krishnaha. Esha shuko asti or esha shukosti is how you would say it. Esha shukosti. And if you're transliterating it, when you put the little awagraha, you just make it like a little like one of those little what do you call those things? A single quotation mark? I can't remember. I'm sorry. My brain is getting going. We're doing this though. We're making it. So he is a parrot. Esha suko sti. Eshas sukosti. Solid. All right. Long plus a visarga. What the heck's that going to do? Well, before any voiced syllable. Now, where are our voiced syllables? Where are my voiced syllables at? All of these in the center. And what else is voiced? All the vowels. So, along us plus a non-voiced initial. Wait a minute, what's my rule here? Yeah, now I'm talking about voiced initials. So, hatas viras gachanti swarga lokam. There is a lot going on here. Hatas, long and viras. Vira means hero. Hatta, not harta, hatta, in Sanskrit, hun means slain or killed. So here we have hatas plus a voiced initial. Hatas, viras, it just drops the visarga. Viras, gachanti. Gachanti is a plural verb from the root gum, meaning to go. Haras plus gachanti, the visarga drops. Gachanti plus swarga, no change. Swarga loka, loka means world, swarga means heaven. Remember, swarga indra, swarga indra? Well, here, swarga lokan, and this is a compound, which we'll learn like chapter 12, the heavenly realm. All right. Killed heroes go to the world of heaven. What do we remember here? Us becomes just a before any voiced syllable. The long a remains, the visarga fucks right off. So there's two sandhis here because you have swarga and loka in a compound, and then you have hatas drops to hatta, and viras drops to vira. Now, remember here that the us does not turn into long a visarga before a voiced syllable. It does something else. Come on. All right, break it. Hatta vira gachanti swarga lokam is hatas viras gachanti swarga lokam. Killed heroes go to the world of heaven. Two sandhis. Keep it straight. Keep it real. Go to the next slide. All right. Now, sometimes you have a final R. I'll explain how this works. This is Goldman's explanation that I tried to explain to the class, and the class went, What the hell are you talking about? So I rewrote it in my own words. The most common iteration of this are two words, punaha and prataha. These are actually, before the sandhi, punar and pratar. The R before any and all non-voice consonants becomes a visarga. So punar becomes punaha before all non-voice consonants. It's the same rule as us. So ush, us in the same way. So you can have punash, punash, punas. Now, punar does not change if it's before a voiced sound, except for ra. It does change in ra because it doesn't, Sanskrit doesn't like double ra. Remember, agnis rochati is agnir, or is not agnir rochati, it's agni rochati. Non-A vowels plus R do the same thing. So ur becomes uhu. R is not us. So this is different from what we saw before, even though it seems a little similar. Let's look at some examples. Punar plus punar, which is a common phrase, again and again. So punar, we've got that ra exception. So it becomes punaha, and it stays punaha. All right. Now, there are some differences. Punar, punar, danavan, hanti. Hanti means to kill, or they kill. Actually, it's hunty. It's a weird one, but yeah, that's actually he. Just don't worry about it. So punar danavan becomes punaha. All right, because it's before a pa, which is unvoiced, so it becomes visarga. Punar danavan, what's that? Oh, that's voiced. So there, it turns into a ra. It stays a ra, and then it sandhis together to get punaha, punar, punaha, punar, danavan, hanti. Nice. And then pratar, which you'll see often, means in the morning. And agamishati is in the future. It's a verb from the root gum, once again, meaning to come. He comes in the morning. So ra before what is It's a vowel, so it's voiced. The ra before a voiced vowel stays ra. It doesn't turn into a visarga. Break it. Punaha, punaha, punar, punar. Punaha, punar, danavan, hanti is punar, danavan, hanti. Prataragamishati is pratar agamishati. All right. Now we're going to look at a thing called external sandhi. Goldman has a whole thing where he talks about sandhi and assimilation, how one word initial letter changes when it encounters another word initial. You can read it in Goldman. Let's put it in my words. I like to think about mutation and magnetics. Final sounds generally change to accommodate the sounds that follow them. The final sound is altered by the magnetic power or the radiation power of the sound that comes after it. Think of magnetism being like atomic radiation. The sound that comes after a sound mutates the previous sound. These changes are mostly about voicing, so we're going to look at our charts, and we're going to memorize some of these examples, and we're going to read out loud. These shifts will become totally natural to you, I promise. Often think about non-voiced finals becoming the voiced non-aspirate of the class of sound following. Read that 12 times. It still won't make sense. Let's look at examples. All right, let's look at some general mutations. We have ta, the ta sound. So where's ta? Ta is dantya. Unvoiced dantya ta class. Krodhat bhavati samohaha. Great word. Krodhat, krodha means anger. Krodhat is in the ablative. Bhavati means to arise, to be, or to become. Sammoham means confusion, or even agitation. So Krodot, here we go, Krodot, and it encounters ba. Ba is voiced, okay? So the ta is unvoiced. It encounters a voiced. So what does it do? It changes to da. Why? Krodot wanders into the room. It meets ba in Bhavati. Bhavati says, I do not want to hang out with you unless you can just be cool. And Krodot says, I can be cool. I'll become a duh. And then when it becomes a duh, Ba's like, heck yeah, I love duh. And they combine. Krodot, Bhavati. The ta plus ba, if you just want to remember it this way, the unvoiced ta and the voiced ba, when they meet, that ta becomes voiced to da because it's the voiced consonant of the dental class. If you have asit asuraha, asit means it's the past tense of and I believe the perfect, and that means was, what is in the past. Asit asuraha, there was a demon, okay? Asit asuraha, there was a demon or an asura. Sometimes the gods are called suras and the demons are called asuras. All right, so asit asuraha. All right, here ta meets a. A is a vowel, so it's voiced. So ta encountering a voiced vowel becomes voiced, becomes da. So asit asura, asidasura. Why? Because again, ta wanders into the party and it means is yelling and a screaming. I'm so voiced. I'm so voiced. And ta is unvoiced. So ta's like, I don't know, I'm meek and mild. I'm not voiced. So in order to talk to the voiced loud, like if you met me at a party, you'd have to be like, I'm gonna be loud and crazy too. I'm gonna be voiced. So asit becomes asid. So in order to hang out with the vocal, loud, voiced the ta becomes voiced him or herself. Samohat smriti vibramaha. It's a great sentence. Error in memory, smriti vibramaham, causes or is arising from the ablative samohat, just like we had here. So here, ta, hanging out. I am ta. I am ta. I like being ta. I like being ta. So I meet this I like guy. So I meet this I like guy. And we will be the same. We will be the same. See? Unvoiced. Unvoiced. So they just go off and don't talk to each other at the party, but they're having a great time making eye contact. Not voiced. You got it. No change here. Okay. At this point, I have to take a little pause and check some things, but I will be right back. No, I thought I was pausing, but I didn't. Okay. So this is going to be our break point. I have a meeting to attend to, and I will finish this lesson when I'm done with the meeting, or maybe on another day, but we're going to pause right there. So go live your life, have fun, go be voiced or unvoiced at a party. And every time you see Sandhi, just imagine they're mingling. Everybody's mingling. Things are going to get a little bit more racy and kind of kinky when I start talking about the nasals. So be ready for that. I know the class got a lot of giggles out of that one. I bet you will too. All right, I'll see you. Okay, I'll be back soon enough. And you'll get a part 2 of this video. So this is just part 1 of a big ass Sandhi video. It's been fun being with you this morning. I've really enjoyed this. Thanks for spending this time with me. And thanks for studying Sanskrit. It's pretty great. And in fact, I wish my pundit had taught me this way, because he didn't. He was just, he'd like rattle out verses and be like, it's because of this. And I'd be like, what? So I'm trying to do it in a way that to teach Sandhi in a way that maybe I would have learned better. And honestly, I'll tell you, I'm learning it better by going through it this way with y'all. So you're doing a service to me as well. You're making me a better Sanskritist, better teacher. And honestly, hey, I think studying Sanskrit makes us better human beings. You have fun out there, all right? And remember, as the great William Whalen, my English professor, used to say, don't spend the best years of your life. And then he throws his hands behind him and says, studying. Don't spend the best years of your life studying. Or you can study Sanskrit. Bye, y'all.